Since last we spoke, we had a great opportunity to get together as a group with our coaching staff and go over our team. Really productive visits to All-Star games. Senior Bowl was great. Had a great round of draft meetings with our college scouts, and so excited to be here. As we go into this off season, as we kind of finish up this combine process. Obviously, you guys have seen reports about us bringing Derek Carr in about a week and a half ago. I can tell you that was a fantastic visit. We really enjoyed spending time with him. Obviously, he's the only quarterback that I can really shed any light on for you guys, since he's the only quarterback that's a free agent. But I can say that he left a strong impression with everybody, and so. Obviously, we're going to be exploring the veteran quarterback market this offseason, and we're going to look at every available option. We feel like when it's time to make the right decision, whenever they're process, we're going to make the best decision for the Jets. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. Look, I think it's hard to put an exact timetable. I think everybody would like it done sooner rather than later, but everyone has their own process. I feel like we have our process in exploring the market, exploring options, and each player has their own process in terms of what they have going on. So can't give a direct timetable, a specific timetable, but again, when decided to be made, I feel very strongly we're going to make the right decision for the Jets. Yeah, obviously with Derek, high-level producer, but really a phenomenal person. Just spending time with him, very authentic. Again, ultra intelligent, just very comfortable in his own skin, and highly competitive. And on the tape, you see the talent, you see the release, the velocity, the way he gets the ball out, the decision making, the accuracy. So a lot of things to like. Look, I think I don't want to speak for Derek, but obviously this is the first time that he's been a free agent in his pro career, and knowing how being around him and seeing how smart a person he is. I know he's going to be thorough with his process to make sure that him and his family end up in the right destination for them. So, we're going to respect his process, and then again, we'll be ready to make a decision when the time comes. Did you make a contract offer to Derek when he was in town? Did you guys offer him a contract? Yeah, I'm not going to get into any contract negotiations or talk like that. Other than just to say we had a great visit. Felt like it was a really productive visit. We are going to spend a little more time with him when he comes out. Do you prefer free agency versus a trade? How do you feel about potentially having some draft picks? Yeah, again, I mean, as we look through every scenario. Those are things we're weighing versus acquiring a player with no compensation in terms of trade, draft picks or players versus someone that may require that. So we're looking at every option, and that will play a part in the decision. Yeah, that process will play itself out with the league. We feel really comfortable about Todd as a coach and a person, and we're very excited to add him to this staff. And I know Coach Saleh can talk about that a little bit more, but just spending time with him, his passion, his ability to connect with players, build great relationships with players. We are very excited to add a person of his caliber, a coach of his caliber to our organization. Derek is a player who you can sign right now. Like when this process, you can have him right now, and your quarterback situation is kind of solidified, versus waiting for a player you can potentially trade for or sign who may or may not want to come here. I mean, how do you balance that choice? Yeah, again, I would say that we feel good about our process, and we're also going to respect his process, and again, when we feel like it's time to make the right decision, we're gonna make it.
So, Joe, from that standpoint, if Derek were to say, "I want to come to the Jets," would you then open negotiations for him on a contract?
I'm not going to get into any hypotheticals. Again, we have a meeting planned this week, and we'll see how that goes. But again, we'll be ready to pull the trigger when we have to.
Where do things stand with Quinn on his request for contract extension? Will you leave him?
Yeah. So we've had several good discussions with Nicole and Quinnen since the season, and we feel really good about where we're at. And again, feel good that this process is going to play out in the right way. That's a good question because probably everyone has a different opinion about NIL. I view it. Maybe I view it a little differently than most, but I think when you have guys that maybe underclassmen that receive 4th, 5th, 6th round grades from the league, they're more apt to stay in, and because of the NIL. And I know that in the old days we would always get in draft rooms and talk about players and how they're going to handle money, and I think some of that gets answered now with the NIL. And the relationships you have with the coaching staffs will kind of answer that question for you in terms of that. So, but I think there is an impact on draft classes. I think you're going to see less underclassmen come out than in previous years. Yeah, I think when we looked at some of the guys that we had graded later in the draft that ended up making teams, a lot of those guys came back for 5th and 6th years, so they were a little bit more mature physically. They were a little bit more developed, and so we feel like that maybe played a factor in them being able to come in and make a team, either as an undrafted free agent or as a late round draft pick.
Had discussions with the Packers? I know you can't talk about specific players, but have you talked about a potential trade that you involved there?
This is a season where we talk to a lot of GMs. We've talked and talk about a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different trades, and not just quarterbacks. So I've had a lot of productive discussions with multiple GMs around the league, and that's probably a good question for Brian to answer. But no, again, we've had a lot of positive discussions. Yeah, Brees is doing great in his recovery. I know he had a visit with Dr. Cooper in Dallas, and he's progressing great. So really, Brees, AVT, Mekhi, they're all doing great in their recovery, and we feel good about their return.
Hey, a couple more.
Right now, the plan is for him to be ready for the start of the season.
So how do you feel about the role that you tackle position right now? You kind of have some moving pieces there.
Yeah, we have a lot of moving pieces in season 2, so that's definitely a position where we'd like to create some more stability, continuity, especially with the injuries we sustained last year. So, Dwayne's under contract. Max Mitchell's coming back. Max is doing great. Another player that's recovering. He's doing great, and Mekhi's doing great. So, feel good about those 3 guys coming back. And Dwayne's he just had a procedure on his shoulder. He's recovering well. So, but again, as I've said before, O-line, D-line are going to be a high priority for us always. And so, if there's an opportunity to upgrade tackle, center, guard, D tackle, D end, we're always going to look at doing that.
Has Dwayne said he's going to play this year?
I haven't had those discussions. I don't think coaches had those discussions with Dwayne yet. But obviously, for him to do what he did last year, to play with the injury that he played with, which I don't think we could find a documented tackle that played with the injury that he had for an entire year. It was a special thing, and I know we hold him in very high regard as a person and a player. So let him recover a little bit. We'll have those discussions as the offseason progresses. Right. Yeah, I know in talking with Nathaniel and Todd and our staff, they're so excited to get with Zach and start working. I know they've had some positive discussions, but again, our stance on Zach hasn't changed. We feel like Zach has a very high ceiling. Obviously, the first 2 years haven't played out the way that anybody's hoped, but we still feel like there's a very high ceiling with Zach. And in my time in the league, I found that when players love this game and when players work their tails off, they usually hit their ceiling. And so feel like Zach definitely has those traits. So still feel strongly that Zach's going to be able to hit his ceiling. Hey.
I know you were talking about you're okay with acquiring a quarterback think about the amount of compensation that it took to acquire quarterbacks like Deshaun, Russell, and what have you. What is your philosophy, your thought process on that amount of compensation, particularly in comparison to quarterback on the exclusive?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that plays a big factor in terms of trades, and so I feel like we've tried to live by the mantra: right player, right price, and the compensation plays a huge part in that price. And so, when we're looking to make a decision like this for the Jets, we're going to try to do something that helps us both short term and long term.
Last year we had Brian Makai,
Yeah.
Can you view him as a starter right now, or you can't because he hasn't played in 2 years basically? And then secondly, have you made a decision on his fifth year option?
So we don't have to make a decision on the fifth-year option until after the draft. So we're not ready to announce any decision on that. In terms of Makai being able to be a starter, I think for any of you guys that were here in the 2020 season, you saw what a healthy Makai can do on the football field, and how dominant a player that he was as a rookie, or early in his rookie year. And unfortunately, the last few years have been frustrating from an injury standpoint. But I can tell you that Makai is in as good of a place now as I've seen him in a long time, and he's working his tail off, and he wants to be the best player that he can be for the New York Jets.
You guys obviously are interested in adding the quarterback that's going to cost money right now from the salary cap perspective.
Yeah.
You guys are in. I know you can break it. So basically, have you guys made a decision on the future yet? 40 days in front of us. And when it comes to making salary cap saving moves, when do you anticipate making them?
Yeah, so notice that some teams are doing some of these restructures now. We haven't begun that process. We feel confident. One, we have a great team, football admin team of Dave Sosi and Nick Sabella, and we still have a lot of flexibility. We don't, as you guys know, we hardly have any money prorated into the future on our salary cap. So we have a great flexibility to create very large amounts of cap space if necessary. So we've had some initial discussions about the avenues of doing that, but I don't anticipate that happening until after the combine.